Jeff and I recently met, I guess about a couple months ago, but this year, truly a leading innovator in administration in the state of Michigan, and also recipient of one of the first recipients of the 2015 Innovative Educator Award, doing fantastic things at Lapeer Community Schools. Matt Wandrie is Superintendent of Lapeer Public Schools. He started an Innovation Center in Lapeer where they implement a L12 senior capstone project focusing on project-based learning, where students take an active role in their learning with teachers playing the role of facilitators. Matt continues to reach out and include the business sector in co-creating visions and initiatives tailored for future student success. And I just want to say, when I met Matt, I was blown away by the things that he's doing. And I know a lot of administrators. I know Brian Davis will also be presenting later, another truly fantastic administrator. There's some really great leadership. I'm so excited for a lot of you to see up close what some of these administrators, the initiatives that they're leading within their districts, because it's really impressive. And it's very exciting, inspiring for me as an educator to work with them, collaborate with them, and give them this opportunity to share the wonderful practices and things that they're engaging in. So without any ado, I want to invite Matt up here, but I want to say that I had such an honor of talking to him when I met him, and he knows so much. I mean, he's so well read, and it's exciting because I'm one of those weird people that likes to read books and stuff and about things that people really don't usually care about. And Matt's sort of like that, but I think he's a little more grounded than I am, so it's really good. He kind of helps keep me on the straight and narrow. So again, without any delay, I'd like to introduce Matt Wandrie.
You know, I really wish Jason would get more excited about this. He can really pick up his enthusiasm a bit. Very, very happy to be here today and speak about this topic, the connection of the business world to education. I think it's really probably one of our most underserved areas of discussion for our young people today. And when you start looking at some of the things that we don't do in education, it really speaks to how underserved our young people are in relation to preparing them for a truly changing job market. How many of you are seniors in the room today of the students that stood up? Can you raise your hands for me, seniors? Ready to graduate, enter the world, class of 2015. U.S. Chamber of Commerce says that the average 2015 high school graduate will have no fewer than 9 careers in a 30-year work life. Think about that for a second. Those of us who've been in the job market for quite some time, that's not 9 different jobs inside the same field. That's 9 different careers, right? So obviously, very incumbent upon those educators in the room to provide students with a vast skill set that's not only marketable for the student, for the student of tomorrow, but also transferable in between those careers. We talk about a buzzword today, innovation. Innovation defined the introduction of new methods, processes, and or change in the way of doing things. Right? And innovation, by definition, means it can't be static. It can't be something that remains the same. And the very definition of public education for the last 100+ years is it's a model. Right? It's a system. And we put people inside of that system, and it yields a constant result. Innovation is very hard to achieve inside of a system that's so well defined, that's been moving and growing and expanding for so long. It's a gigantic system. And innovation is not readily accepted in a variety of areas Jason and Jeff and I have been in contact with, and our students are suffering as a result of the lack of courage in our industry to innovate, change, and adapt to what's actually happening today in preparation for a job market that's so vastly different than it was when even I was in high school in the early 90s. Right? Things have changed tremendously. We didn't use the internet to do research. I'm a little bit younger than Lisa, but didn't use the internet to do research in high school. I still remember in my debate class being assigned my debate topic and racing to the media center to make sure I got all the books on that topic before someone else did. So I had the research material prepared for my debate. The times are different. I mean, I literally have 2 cell phones, an iPad, a variety of other technology in my home. I have a 14, 12-year-old, and 10-year-old at home. And this is how we do homework. My 3 kids, I watch them do homework as their earbuds are in, computer screen is on, cell phone is rocking, and the book is open. Multiple inputs. right? The human brain is literally, how it processes information has literally changed over time, and things that would put those of us, those adults in the room into a coma, right? When I was in high school, I needed a quiet room, basically a padded room, bright lights, no distractions. You guys can do 15 different things at once, and those of us in the room who are adults that studied in a different way have a really hard time recognizing that, how different that is. You know, it's really not about programs. It's really, this is a people business, and there's not a lot of businesses that aren't about people. And it's about relationships, and we'll talk. Well, I'm very proud to have a lot of our Lapeer students and staff here today to talk about some of the innovative things that have happened. And for those of us that are, you know, have been to tons of conferences, you want to hear this silver bullet idea, right? If we just do this idea and we put it in practice into our business, into our company, into our school system, we will have cornered the market. But that's not what innovation is. You can't put shackles on innovation. You have to allow it to grow organically, and it has to happen from within. It's got one of the director of our innovation center, Matt Olson, is here today, and we had a really tough conversation a year ago. He was one of my middle school principals, and I said, Matt, I got a great opportunity for you. I'm going to change your title, change your job, put you in this old high school building, give you the job title of Director of Innovations, and you just figure out what to do, you know, in the course of the next 365 days. That was basically our conversation, and the blood ran out of his face, and his pale look, and he's like, well, you know, I don't get it. Why don't you just tell me what to do? Right, I'm a good foot soldier. I know how to do this job. Now you're giving me this job, and I have no idea how it translates. What do you mean? What we talked about in Lapeer is not this idea of what the outcome should be. It's simply about providing the medium and the environment for organic innovation to happen, to spring up. What the Center for Innovation here has become, I had no idea that's what it was going to be at the outset. Right? We just allowed it to happen. The students and staff got together and created this environment, and it grew from there. Because, like I said, innovation can't be defined; it can't have boundaries around it. We really put a lot of focus on that. One of the things we talk about is this idea of a research and development component of education. I like what Lisa mentioned, and Jeff and Jason and I have talked about this getting to failure fast. In education, it's not okay to fail, right? Everyone's got to have all A's and B's, and if you're a good student, you have all A's and B's, and you hand your homework in on time, and you sit in your chair, and you don't say anything, and you never question what's being taught to you. You play the game of school well. Well, playing the game of school well doesn't translate in the work world, right? Because you're not going to sit in rows in your job. You're not going to be told what to do. You're going to be given problems to solve. You're going to be asked to contribute to a team of thinkers, right? And you're going to be expected to produce a result. And so we better start preparing young adults who can think, who can collaborate, who can present themselves in a variety of meetings, and technology being one of them. Right? But at the bare minimum, the foundation of their existence have to be able to think and process information very quickly. Right? So if you walk into a classroom today, very unfortunately, many classrooms don't look like that. They're not an incubation tank of ideas. They're not about research and development. They're about a system. And I'm critical of public education because we can't change it without a critical eye. It doesn't mean that great things don't happen. It doesn't mean that wonderful things aren't happening in classrooms every day. But it's not going to grow, change, and improve if we're not honest about its flaws. Right? I want to come back to this conference in a year and see 600 people in this room. Right? Because innovation won't be something that's unique to a few, but it will just be really the idea of how we operate. So getting to failure fast. Failing is okay. Even the young people in the room know that oftentimes you learn more from failure and rejection than you do from success and winning. That's a basic tenet of the human condition. That when you touch the hot stove and it burns, you know, gosh, I probably shouldn't do that again because the same feeling will return. Right? And you learn that in your infancy. So you could make the argument that, you know, never having touched the hot stove is a good thing, but boy, it's burned on your brain forever. Burned on your brain, get it? No pun intended. But you failed. You failed at something, but it provided a lesson that's long-lasting. So how does that translate to education? It trains into education very simply that if we had money and we had the resource, time, and space and capacity to research and develop new ideas and they didn't work, hey, that's great to inform the rest of the industry about what they shouldn't attempt to do because, hey, we failed at it. You don't want to waste money, time, resource, and capacity doing that. So an R&D component is what we've created in Lapeer, which is this idea of the Center for Innovation. There are some things there that might not work, and that's okay, right? And students are okay engaging in that work because it's different. It's not the traditional setting. And what we've talked about really in our district is this campus-style approach to learning. Raise your hand if you like sitting in the same place and doing the same thing for 7 straight hours. Not one person. Unfortunately, that's what a lot of students' school day experience is like, right? For essentially, you get up, you go to a 900 square foot box, you learn, you do some stuff, the bell rings, you go to the next 900 square foot box, in the middle you get some lunch, and then you finish the day going into 3 more 900 square foot boxes. And then we ring the bell and you leave again. It's a system designed to get the most people through in the shortest period of time in the most efficient manner possible. What it's not a very great environment for is having a freer approach to accessing education. And so what we have students in our district that go to 3 to 4 buildings a day. Get on a shuttle, go here for 2 hours, do a capstone project, go out to the Ed Tech Center, go take a dual enrollment class on campus, and they're moving all day long just to get outside and do something different, because that's what most humans enjoy doing, a break in the day. That's how the human brain functions, and we're happiest when there's change and variation throughout the course of our day. But what we also hope to achieve in Lapeer eventually is where our secondary age students are selecting and picking the courses they want, not based on what we offer just in our little building, based on what we have with our staff, but what is available out there in the world. What can they access? We were very fortunate recently. We have 4 colleges that we partner with that bring dual enrollment classes to us on campus. One of those is Baker College that we partner with here. They recently donated a CNC machine and a corresponding lathe that our students are trained on with 1 summer class and a class with us that can be a CNC operator in the community. But we've also partnered with the local industry, and we can train employees of local companies on that same machining with our teaching staff. Right? So now all of a sudden, we want to increase the relevance of public school systems inside of our communities. We don't just want to be, hey, we're not just a place to go for a Friday night football game. Right? Our local businesses know that we are a resource. And they know it because we're actually giving them our facilities to train their employees. Right? And making them a more viable workforce inside of our community. And that's something that we're really committed to. But again, it's that idea of research and development that we have to do a better job of showing businesses that public education is the linchpin to their success, right? Don't try to train a workforce that's already been there. Don't go to the barrel, go to the tree. The tree is the students inside of our communities that can be trained. When I was a high school student, you could have never told me that I was going to live in my hometown. Right? That's a natural part of growing up is that, man, I was going to California. I was going to be as far away from Lake Orion, Michigan as possible. There's no way I would ever come back. And then I bought the house I grew up in and married where I went to high school with. But I literally sleep across the hallway from where I grew up. So not only did I not go to California, I didn't make it 50 feet from my bedroom when I was in high school. Okay? And part of that is the average Midwesterner, here's a great statistic, the average Midwesterner lives less than 50 miles from their place of birth. So by definition, we're homebodies. Okay? We like where we grew up. It's a great place. Michigan's a great state. So many of you, despite what you're thinking right now, seniors, many of you will probably migrate back to somewhere near where you grew up, and that's okay. Right? But as an educator, knowing that data, knowing those facts, we want you to come back. We want all the talent in this room to come back and help make our communities better. So many of us are striving to create a school district that you're attracted to, not as students, but as prospective families and parents. Parents much, much later, of course, right? Many years down the road. But we want you to come back and raise your families in Lapeer, in Holt, in DeWitt, in the communities that we care so much about, because we want your talent, we want your rich brains. And I think it's our charge as educators to build a learning environment where today's young people are comfortable, not an environment where adults are comfortable. Right? By default, we will design learning for what we knew. for what our experience was like. When in reality, we should be building a learning environment where you are comfortable, in an area where the business world is going, and we have to be futurists. We have to be able to talk to business leaders. I sit on a variety of local boards and statewide boards, not of education groups, but of CEOs and think tanks and groups that are telling me, Matt, this is what a graduate needs to do from your school system to come and work and be successful here. And it's everything I mentioned before. It has everything to do with communication. It's everything to do with the ability to collaborate, work inside of a team, come up with a common product that you produce together in concert with people that you work with, being able to problem solve in a short period of time, being able to listen. These are the skills that I'm hearing from people in the business world are telling me this is what your kids have to do. And you know what else they say? Can they speak effectively? Can they influence people? Can they write? That's a big one, guys. Can they write? Can they write an email that's not laced with misspelled words and poor grammar? And I know that's not a sexy thing to talk about, but it's important. How you communicate, how you present your ideas is as important, if not more, than the actual idea or solution itself. Because everything is sales. Everything is sales. I don't care what business you're in. If you can't sell the idea, the product, the whatever, the solution, really, who cares what the solution is? So let's create an environment inside of education where kids are doing that, and young people are doing that every day. They're getting up, they're speaking, they're working together, they're producing, they're research and developing every day. Not producing work, right, that we hand to them and they hand back. That's not what you're going to be doing in the real world. You're not going to be handing in worksheets, no offense to worksheets. That's my 15-minute timer that says I'm done. It says tap to stop that annoying noise. I'm going to do that because I'm not done. Sorry, guys. Almost. So this is a challenge. We have to challenge the educators in our state to provide a learning environment that more accurately reflects and mirrors what the real world looks like. And I hear that a lot as a superintendent. Well, our target policy, Matt, is preparing students for the real world. As if the boss is looking out the window saying, well, you weren't in the parking lot at 9 a.m., so we're deducting your pay. Right? Most CEOs that I talk with are a lot more concerned about the output of the employee as opposed to the compliance of the employee. And the freedom of the workplace now is so much greater than it ever has been. You know, the 9 to 5 show up, sit in your cubicle, produce reports, and then leave. Those days are almost gone. There's a place for some of that, but for the most part, the environment that Lisa described is really what's more accurate, where you're given a variety of freedoms. You have a lot of leeway and latitude inside of your job to produce. It's up to your own innate internal work ethic and drive to produce. That's what you're going to be judged upon, as opposed to your ability to comply with a set of workplace rules. But what is our current system set up to reward? It rewards compliance. So my challenge to this state, to the educators in the room, is compliance is good, and we have to do certain things because we have a system to manage and operate, and you can't get around having some rules and regulations. But it starts and ends with trust in people. We're going to hear some great things from kids today, and from some young people in this state. We've got to start trusting students more. In Lapeer, one of the biggest things that almost stopped the Center for Innovation happening was a parent at a meeting saying, so you mean the kids can drive themselves to the Center for Innovation? Yeah. Crazy stuff, right? People, I don't care how young or old, will rise to the level of expectation that you set for them. We trust our students in Lapeer. We said, you know what? Are there going to be some kids that instead of going to their class Center for Innovation, stop at Wendy's on the way, stop at McDonald's, or maybe skip? Yep, they probably will. That will probably happen. But 99.9% of them are going to get in their car or get on the shuttle and go to that building and do exactly what we expect of them. And I'd rather build a school system and build a state of education that trusts young people to make the right decision and help counsel them when they don't, as opposed to not providing an opportunity because we're worried about what they might do given these additional freedoms. How are we preparing kids for college and the world of work if we never trust them to make decisions on their own until the first time they can do that, they're an 18-year-old freshman at Michigan State. And we wonder why the average drop in GPA is 1 full point. Because we told them what to do for 18 years of their compulsory education and then said, as a college freshman, well, now the world's your oyster, go figure it out. And we wonder why they struggle so mightily. So we've got to stop thinking like that. We've got to stop thinking that young people are there to be controlled and manipulated. And they're there to be grown. And they've got to be grown in a way that mirrors and reflects the attributes we say we want them to have when they leave. Be a free thinker. Be a collaborator. Have a great work ethic. Make good choices. We'll make them for you for the first 18 years, and then you make them for the rest of your life. That can't happen. So I want to end with this. There's a great quote once said that I every time I see it, I retweet it. I don't care how many times it's out there. But basically, the idea is nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. And I would contend that I would extend that quote to say nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm, energy, and optimism. Right? And that's the reason I agreed to speak today. Because when I asked as a superintendent, I get asked to come to Lansing all the time. And what is my charge when I'm asked to come to Lansing? You go there, you tell them what they're doing wrong. You tell those legislators, well, what, we need this money. You get in the governor's face and you tell them we need this. You get in those lobbying firms and you tell them that they don't know how they're killing us. And then I met Jeff and Jason. And they said, I want to go to Lansing. And oh boy, here we go. We're going to Lansing and we're going to march. What are we going to march about? We're going to march about what's great in education. We're going to talk and promote the great things happening. And it's going to be centered around what students are doing. And I said, say no more, I'm in. Tell me the day, tell me what you got to have done, and I'll be there. Right? Because we need to have optimism, energy, and enthusiasm if we hope to harness the great thinking that's going to be on display today in small measure, if we're going to make large-scale, long-term, systemic improvement in this system of education. And guys, here's another nugget. There is no magic company that's going to come into Michigan, sprinkle pixie dust, and fix what's wrong with public education. It doesn't exist. If it did, I'd work for that company and I would be helping change it. It's going to come from people like you inside this room and in rooms all across the state just like it, who are going to be the ones inventing and implementing the solutions that help change the face of education. Now, I know there's a lot of when I talk like this in the peer, there's a lot of concern, like, gosh, Matt, you're awfully critical of the way we do business, and, we are doing some great things, and we are. We're doing some great things. But Lisa mentioned her role as a parent, compelling her to be a part of something like this. That's the only reason I'm here, right? Because I'm a dad first, and a superintendent second, and I call everything the Thomas, Jack, and Anna test. If it's not good enough for Thomas, Jack, and Anna, it's not good enough for any student in here. If I wouldn't want my own children participating in something that we're a part of, it's not good enough for the rest of the students in Michigan. Right? Energy, optimism, enthusiasm to get the change done. And I think that can happen here. And you young people that are in the room, that is a definite challenge to you. Right? You've got to help pressure your communities to make the education environment that you participate in on a daily basis something that reflects what you want to be a part of. We have students that come and speak at our board meetings that challenge our curriculum, and I love it. We love it. We had a kid come in the other day and tell us how we didn't have enough options in English, and he knocked it out of the park. And he's absolutely right. And one of the reasons we're actually changing our approach is because of his presentation to the board. Because our approach isn't, well, gosh, he's a 16-year-old junior. What does he know? Who knows better? He's the one going through it. Let's have a great day. Thank you very much.
Awesome words, very empowering, if I do say so. I almost blurted out during his presentation because I thought it was so awesome and inspiring. I almost became like an annoying guy at every concert. I didn't do it, I'm so glad I did that. Totally inappropriate. So, but thank you, man. That's amazing.